Hi, I'm JD Eagle, your host. I'm preparing to eat this dead shark that washed up on this beach shore. The movie I will review with you is a tale about sharks. This is one of those films that has such an unusual reputation. It was released around the time when DreamWorks was at its prime and where Disney's strongest competitors in animation put out some of their biggest bangers like Madagascar, Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and released Shrek 2 during the same year. But then came Shark Tale, who stood out among all the other DreamWorks films that had everyone ask, "What the fridge is this?" Nowadays, we are used to seeing the studio release some features that can be subpar alongside the awesome ones, but DreamWorks making something that was not good was almost unheard of back in the 2000s, and as a result, despite still being another one of their box office hits, this film is now known as a punchline where its existence and its quirks are remembered as a joke more so than the jokes in the feature itself. Then again, I guess that's one way to make itself memorable. But let's take a step back from all those prior reactions. It's already been about 2 decades since it came out, and we've seen many movies that can find their audience over time, even if its initial release was pretty bad. And after all these years of laughing at it, maybe there's something to discover that can make this movie more meaningful and not as bad as we first thought, or maybe that's just the wishful thinking talking in the hopes that the experience won't be too painful. So, now that it's time that we dive deep into the tale of the Shark Slayer, what is considered to be a lie as big as Oscars, that it's as bad as its reputation claims, or that transforming popular actors into cartoon fish is a good idea for an entire animated movie? Well, the answers are all ahead, so come on and take the plunge. The story. Time to take a bite out of the story. Underachiever Oscar is a pint-sized fish with grand aspirations. When mob-connected great white shark Frankie is accidentally killed, Oscar concocts a story with Frankie's peace-loving brother Lenny that it was he who murdered the shark. Suddenly hailed Shark Slayer by his aquatic brethren, Oscar has bigger fish to fry when Frankie's father, mob boss Don Lino, dispatches his henchmen to track down his son's killer. This 2004 Oscar-nominated DreamWorks feature film is an underrated masterpiece despite what many haters say. It's got everything you could ever ask for: humor, a strong moral center, sexy fish, and even the mob. No matter how old you are, there is something to grab your attention in this film. Each time you watch it, a new joke pops up or a quote stick in your head. It's a top-tier cinematic experience that should get more love. The animation. Now let's sink our teeth into the animation. In the racetrack sequence, there are more than 16,000 computer-animated 3D characters in the stands. This is DreamWorks Animation's first computer-animated project to be animated internally at their Glendale campus instead of at PDI. The characters. Now to see the characters. Oscar is a deluded, prideful, cool, street-talking rainbow tropical fish who dreams of fame and fortune, and in order to achieve his goal, he fibs, saying that he slaughtered Frankie, the son of Don Lino and older brother of Lenny, which makes him the famous Shark Slayer. He is voiced by Will Smith, who also voiced Lance Sterling from Spies in Disguise.
Hi, I'm Oscar. You might think you know, but you have no idea.
Diet stuff has a weird aftertaste. What's the tech?
We can't talk about this movie without mentioning Lenny. He is Don Lino's youngest son, Frankie's younger brother, and Oscar's best friend for life. Unlike typical sharks who are vicious meat eaters, Lenny is a gentle, gold-hearted vegetarian great white shark. By his side is Angie the angelfish. She is the receptionist at Whale Wash and Oscar's love interest. She is voiced by Renee Zellweger, who also voiced Vanessa Bloom from B-Movie and Katie from Monsters vs. Aliens. And there is Lola, the disturbing lionfish who hooks up with Oscar just to get closer to his newfound riches. The reason I find her disturbing is not because of how much of a gold digger she is, but because she makes the movie believe that it could be sexy. She is voiced by Angelina Jolie, who also voiced Tigress from Kung Fu Panda and Stella the elephant from The One and Only Ivan. Last but not least is the leader of the shark mob gang, Don Lino. He wants his sons, Lenny and Frankie, whom he treats like his henchmen, to take over the business and run it together and is infuriated when Oscar gets in his way. He is voiced by Robert De Niro, who also voiced Emperor Sifrat from Arthur and the Invisibles.
Long story short, from now on, you just work for Frankie and Lenny. Capiche?
While the princess gets a second wind, perhaps you should hear this young man.
Spanish audiences consider the Castilian Spanish version one of the worst dubs ever made. Aquí no hay quien viva from 2003 was a big hit at the time, so the distributors decided to have some actors and actresses from that show voice some of the characters, even though some had no experience with dubbing. Fernando Tejero voiced Oscar, Maria Edenez voiced Angie, and Santiago Ramos dubbed Sykes. Jose Sancho and Natalia Verbeek were in the cast as Don Lino and Lola, and television journalist and host Mercedes Mila voiced Katie Current. The audience criticized Tejiro's performance as Oscar the most. Don Fayberg was originally called Don Brizzi, bowing to pressure from the Italic Institute of America, an organization protesting Hollywood's stereotyping of Italians as mobsters and gangsters. DreamWorks agreed to change the name of the character to Don Feinberg just before the release. With Lola forming an alliance with the Sharks during the climax to get revenge for being dumped as part of her tougher side, this makes her the first character in a DreamWorks animation movie to be a hidden supporting antagonist. Oscar is a blue streak cleaner wrasse, which explains his whale cleaning job. Angie is a marine angelfish. Sykes is a porcupine fish. Lola is a lionfish. Don Feinberg is a leopard shark. Don Lino, Frankie, and Lenny are great white sharks. Giuseppe is a scalloped hammerhead shark, and Crazy Joe is a hermit crab. Anthony Anderson was cast as a sperm whale, but the role's suggestive dialogue got his character cut down. Anderson had only a few non-risked lines when the whale meets Angie and when Oscar cleans the whale's eye. Frankie and Lenny's mother is mentioned but never seen. Frankie and Lenny's grandmother is visible once, sobbing silently on Frankie and Lenny's grandfather's left shoulder during Frankie's funeral. The behind-the-scenes footage revealed Don Lino's first name as Edward, Lenny's full name to be Leonardo Lino, and Frankie's full name to be Franklin Lino. The reporting news fish is named Katie Current, whose name is a nod to U.S. newscaster Katie Couric, who voiced the character. For Australian audiences, Katie Current was voiced by renowned Australian Channel 9 news anchor Tracy Grimshaw. Now it's time for facts about the film to get chomped. Mandy Moore, Sandra Bullock, Gwyneth Paltrow, Lisa Kudrow, Jennifer Aniston, Minnie Driver, Kim Basinger, Joel Lee Richardson, Nicole Kidman, Drew Barrymore, Diane Keaton, Anna Paquin, Melanie Griffith, Tracy Ullman, Sally Field, Nicolette Sheridan, Gina Davis, Amy Adams, Jane Seymour, Sarah Jessica Parker, Linda Carter, Meg Ryan, Halle Berry, Gillian Anderson, Zooey Deschanel, Ellen DeGeneres, Alicia Silverstone, Cameron Diaz, Jane Krakowski, Juliana Margulies, Mary Gross, Kelly McGillis, Natasha Henstridge, Rosie O'Donnell, Sharon Stone, Helen Mirren, Leslie Mann, Kay Lenz, Brandy Norwood, Britt Ekland, Michelle Pfeiffer, Saffron Burrows, Brooke Shields, Lorraine Bracco, Angelica Houston, Veronica Cartwright, Rachel Weisz, Constance Marie, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Gwen Stefani, Jenny McCarthy, Jasmine Guy, and Rosine Barr were all considered to voice Angie before Renee Zellweger got the role before either one of the actresses that were considered for the role. Miranda Richardson, Kat Dennings, Elizabeth Banks, Rachel Weisz, Rocio Bakewils, Heather Walquist, Rachel McAdams, Niruka Marcos, Terry Hatcher, Angela Lanza, Elizabeth Mitchell, Jennifer Goodwin, Lacey Chabert, Anna Martin, Queen Latifah, Taylor Dooley, Lisa Ann Walter, Sarah LaFleur, Linda Carter, Kristen Davis, Tamara Hope, Romy Schneider, Daniela Hannah Baker, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Courtney Cox, Shenna Easton, Kathleen Najimy, Bette Midler, Anna Frail, Patsy Kensit, Catherine O'Hara, Mariska Hargitay, Tony Braxton, Claire Danes, Mila Jovovich, Jennifer Lopez, Linda Pearl, Judi Dench, Beyonce Knowles, Kirsten Dunst, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Mimi Rogers, Octavia Spencer, Anne Hathaway, Shannon Doherty, Carly Simon, Jada Pinkett Smith, Kathy Griffin, Amy Poehler, Jane Kaczmarek, Giselle Bundchen, Rachel Leigh Cook, Kristen Schaal, Evan Rachel Wood, and Emmanuel Burt were all considered for the role of Lola. Leonardo DiCaprio, Jim Carrey, Michael J. Fox, George Clooney, Albert Brooks, Keanu Reeves, Nicolas Cage, Billy Crystal, Ray Romano, Adam Sandler, Pierce Brosnan, Ewan McGregor, Chevy Chase, Scott Bakula, Zach Braff, Cheech Marin, Christian Slater, Orlando Bloom, Sylvester Stallone, Robin Williams, Cary Elwes, Jason Alexander, Will Ferrell, Jerry Seinfeld, Hank Azaria, Kevin Costner, Mike Myers, Jason Bateman, Rich Collins, Owen Wilson, Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, John Leguizamo, Dan Shore, Bruce Willis, Vincent D'Onofrio, Jay Moore, Steve Burton, Maurice Bernard, Casper Van Dien, Kevin Kline, Lone Gruffudd, Tom Guire, John Corbett, Peter Weller, Steven Seagal, Dave Foley, Timothy Hutton, Josh Hartnett, Ardell O'Hanlon, and Jason Fleming were all considered to voice Lenny before Jack Black got the role before either of the actors that were considered for the role. Liam Neeson, Kevin Spacey, Andy Garcia, Bryan Cranston, Bill Pullman, Anthony Hopkins, Terrence Stamp, Ian McKellen, Kirk Douglas, Woody Harrelson, Bill Nighy, Jeff Daniels, Julian McMahon, Warren Beatty, Dean Winters, Judd Hirsch, John Malkovich, Josh Brolin, Thomas Hayden Church, Jack Nicholson, Billy Zane, Clint Eastwood, Rupert Everett, Christopher Lloyd, Gerard Butler, Charles Dance, Christopher Meloni, Stephen Lang, Gene Hackman, Greg Kinnear, William Shatner, Benjamin Bratt, Antonio Banderas, Alessandro Nivola, David Denman, Peter Green, Nick Nolte and Hal Landon Jr. all auditioned for the voice of Don Leno before Robert De Niro got the role before either of the actors that were considered before him. It's been fun flipping with the sharks, but it's time for me to eat this carcass, so I'll see you all again real soon.